Today we're learning how to test libraries between repos without having to deploy. Intro! So we have this beautiful diagram that I spent around 30 seconds making for this video. I hope you find it delightful. So the idea here is that we have 4 different libraries: lib A, lib B, and lib C, lib D. They could be living in a mono repo that deploys different libraries, or they could live in their own separate repos. The idea is that you don't want to have to deploy these libraries before you test them because they could be buggy. So the first thing that we're going to do is understand what we're testing. In this case, we have a library, lib A. It has 2 dependencies. That would be lib B and lib D. On top of that, lib B has a dependency called libc. So the first thing that we're going to do is go through each of our libraries and start looking at what they're going to do. So the first one is going to be lib A. This one is going to have of dependencies per our drawing. Lib A has lib B and lib D as a dependency, so we're just going to say lib B equals require lib B, and then lib D cool. And we're just going to say that each one of them is going to have a function called lib.print, lib.print. lib.print, so that we can actually see what they're printing, and they're going to console log. So we'll save that. Then lib B is going to have a function that is called, let's just say that it exports it's called print. So exports print. And what that will do is console.log B for now. And what we know is that B has a dependency on C. So we'll require C here. libc. And we'll say that libc returns a letter to print. So we'll say that libc that get letter, right? And we'll say that if the letter is undefined, meaning, let's say that it returns a letter, but it could return different letters. So we can say that if the letter is C, then we console.log, so let's make that a lead. If letter is C, then we break. If letter is C up, or cup, let's say, if not letter, but let's say if letter is Z, then we break. And then default is the default of what B will return, which, let's say it sets letter to B, and then we'll console log letter. So what this is saying is it's that if libc returns C or Z, it will just print those letters, and if it returns undefined, it will just return B. Cool. And we're going to copy this because D will have something similar, but the only difference is that it will just console log D, right? And then it doesn't have a dependency. And then C will basically say get letter and we'll just return C for now. Get letter. Cool. So what will happen here is that if I run this, it's going to complain about a package issue. 1 second. Oh, I mean, I'm not in lib A. That's why. Right? So it's going to complain because we haven't, it doesn't recognize that lib is there. Lib B is there. So the first thing that we need to do is start linking everything. Now, if we go back to our graph, we need to go in order of, let's say, linkage from the farthest out all the way to lib A. All right, so the first thing we do is create links for lib B, lib C, and lib D before we start attaching them all together. So we can do that right now. And we'll say, I have a lot of terminals open. We'll go to lib B and say npm link. What you see here is that it created on our node version, node 10, it created a library called libb that's attached to our actual path to the file. So if we go to libc, it will do the same thing, npm link. It created another symlink of that, and then if we go to libd, it'll do the same. Now if we go to our graph, we'll see that we need to link libc to libb, meaning that we need to actually provide libb with the link to libc so that it can use that code, because right now it's just erroring it out, and that's expected. So we'll go to our terminal and we'll say libb and we'll say npm link libc. What this is doing is basically saying, hey, the libc module that is in libb will be linked to the global libc module created by the initial npm link, and that is attached to the actual libc directory in this project. Now that I have npm link out of all of that, then I can go to lib A and I can say npm link libc and libd. Per our diagram, lib A has dependencies of it's my apologies, it's libb. So we can just say npm onlink libc to remove that link out of here, and then we'll say libb. Cool. So now we have that actual linkage of libb and libd. Now if we go to run lib A, it should print out the proper things now that everything is linked. And you can see that it printed out C and it printed out D. What we're going to do now is we're going to change libc so that it returns nothing. What this will do is it will print out that libb output instead of the C. Now, you know that I just made the change and I saved it, but that didn't actually rerun or repull the code. I only changed the index of libc, as you can see here, because everything is attached together. So when I click into the library, it actually takes me there. I don't have to touch B because it's already linked. I only need to save or rerun lib A and it should give me the B, as you can see here. Isn't that cool? Now, let's say that I go to D. I can go to D and I'm going to change that. Oh, I don't want to send a console log D. I want to say, hey, this is my new message. And I'll save that and close libd, as you can see here, and rerun it. and you can see that it got updated, and it gets automatically updated. And that's a really cool thing of the setup that we're doing, is that you can go and find bugs in your library. So let's say that for some reason we're gonna write a bug real quick and say, oh, if it doesn't return anything, let's say that I put a typo here like such. Now normally you don't have a way to test this unless you write unit test or integration test, but now you're testing locally just to try to get more to try to get the testing done between the libraries and make sure that everything is working properly. Sort of like an end-to-end test kind of thing. This will actually fail if I rerun A. It's gonna say unexpected string only B. The cool thing is that it actually prints the error on the library, so I can click on it and it'll take me there. So I'll fix it and then I'll change it. Oh, this is B message coming from space. So then I'll save that, and if I rerun lib A, which is this guy, and save it, then you'll see the error is gone, and I'm printing out the B message and I'm printing out the A message. Isn't that pretty cool? So this is very simplistic scenarios, but you can see how you can change across and be able to test all your libraries. Now, another thing that you need to be aware of is that npm link may change your package logs at times where you don't want to change those package logs. So it may link it the wrong way. So one thing that you need to make sure is that you unlink. So we're going to go here and say npm unlink libb and libd, and it's going to remove the linkage between them. As you can see, it removed the two packages. Then I go to libb and say, whoop, and unlink that. So that's basically it, guys. I will push this repo up onto GitHub. The link will be in the description. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and like, and we'll see you next time.